All right, here we go, guys. We got another masterclass coming at you here with Adrian Smude, and we're going to be talking all about a very niche area within real estate investing that, as you're about to hear, I don't think very many people are taking advantage of. We're gonna be talking about the mobile home asset class, and Adrian is an expert. In fact, he's one of the only people I know that focuses primarily and really their entire business and investing strategy focuses in and around mobile homes. Now, as you're going to hear also in the podcast, we're not talking about mobile home parks. We're talking about mobile homes with the land. When you hear some of the cash flow numbers, it might actually surprise you. There's little to no competition. And Adrian is somebody who's been in the real estate game for about 18 years now, became an accidental landlord back all the way in 2002. And, about a decade later, discovered that there was a better way. And that was mobile homes for him and his wife. So really, really interesting episode. I asked him about his absolute best deal. I asked him about his worst deal, how he got kicked in the teeth, how he got back up, what he learned from it. So there's a lot we dive into in and around mobile home investing. And if that's something that has piqued your interest, I encourage you to listen to this show from start to finish. And even if it doesn't, Adrian has a lot of cool stuff to share about his journey in real estate investing and things that you can just take some value from and apply to your life and business. So remember, it's all about one piece of information, one thing you hear said by a particular person at the right time can shift everything in your life and in your business. So that's what I'm really hoping you get out of these podcasts, is just look for that one or two nuggets, the things that can either be a catalyst for a mindset shift or can something you can just swipe and deploy in your business and or in your life. To really help take you to where you ultimately want to go. So let's dive into episode 545 with Adrian Smude.
You're listening to Flip Empire, the show committed to helping real estate entrepreneurs who want to build their empire without sacrificing their life. Your success and freedom starts now with your host, Alex Pardo.
What is going on? Welcome to another Flip Empire show. I'm excited to have Adrian Smude on the podcast today. And guys, we're going to be talking about something, this is episode 545, and I don't believe we've ever talked about investing in actual mobile homes. I'm going to kick it over to Adrian here shortly, but we're not going to be talking about mobile home parks. We're going to be talking about mobile homes. So I don't want to steal his thunder, but this is a very it's an asset class it's very niched, and I don't know too many people outside of Adrian that really specialize in mobile homes. And we're going to talk about some of the benefits, how he ended up getting into that particular asset class, why you might want to consider investing in mobile homes, and then just what some of the benefits are. There's so much content that we've covered on the show, from wholesaling and fix and flip and creative financing, commercial real estate investing, mobile home parks we've discussed, but never mobile homes. So really looking forward to this one. With that, Adrian, I want to welcome you to the show, man.
Thank you, Alex. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, and for those of you who are catching this on the podcast and you're not watching, Adrian is wearing this neon yellow / green. My wife buys mobile homes, so I can appreciate the marketing, my friend. I love it.
My goal is to never be seen without the shirt on, unless it's a date with my wife. Then she asked me to dress up a little nicer. There
you go. Unless it lands in your next 10, 15, 20, or $50,000 deal, right?
Yep, exactly.
There you go, dude. Throw a jacket on top of that and you'll look good, man. So with that said, why don't you give people a little bit of background, who you are, how you guys got involved in this business, and then we'll transition into the mobile home side of things.
Okay. I'm a little north of you. I'm in Central Florida between Tampa and Orlando, right in the middle in a little town called Plant City. We are the winter strawberry capital of the world. I started about 18 years ago as a terrible tenant. I was being evicted. I have all these eviction notices. Anyway, so my family member was a mortgage broker, and some people might remember back then you didn't need to do anything to get a mortgage. So I got a mortgage with $1,500 out of my bank account, moved the same friends in that helped me get evicted, taught me a little bit about landlording. I made a lot of the mistakes at the beginning. Fast forward a few years, I bought another property. That one ended up being a short sale. which in hindsight was a great learning lesson because it made me pretty conservative. And I only lost one property where a lot of people lost multiples. I started going to RIAs after that, and I learned the creative side of real estate investing, what the banks don't tell you. And I started talking to, I call them the older, seasoned guy, girl in the back of the room. They've been doing it as long as I've been alive. They've all mentioned mobile homes. So I finally just decided to listen to them. They know more than I do. And I got into mobile homes with the land. So we buy the home and the dirt. That's what's a little bit different about what we do. We like to buy the dirt with it.
Okay. Got it. And is it, and you'll have to kind of educate me here, Adrian, because we've, throughout the last 16 years or so, we've done a lot of deals and we've done very few mobile homes, and they've primarily been wholesales. So is it uncommon to take down the mobile home in addition to the dirt? Do most investors you find just actually purchase the mobile home itself, but they don't actually own the land?
So one of the reasons we got into this niche is what you just said. Most investors aren't doing this. If you start driving around, it doesn't have to be just Florida, all over the country, there are a lot of mobile homes with the land. They're home land packages. They're just like a site-built home. It just happens to be a mobile home. Okay. There can be full neighborhoods that some people might think are a park, but everyone owns the land with it. It's not that uncommon.
Got it. And when you and your wife got in this business, what year was that you first learned about mobile home investing?
Probably 7 years ago now. So we're in 2021. So what is that? 2014?
Yeah, 14. Okay, got it. So when you guys did that, what was the motivation or the goal behind focusing on that versus what so many others do, whether it's wholesale single family or multifamily or any number? I mean, of all the niches, right, of all the asset classes, mobile homes is something that doesn't really get a lot of shine. I don't know why that is, but talk about what really appealed to you guys. Was it the fact that there was just very little competition? I mean, was that the main thing?
Well, the first thing was the cash flow.
Okay.
My coach made me realize by asking the right questions that what I was really after was cash flow, not appreciation, not equity. I wanted cash flow to eat off of and live off of. And mobile homes is, I think, just the first thing that came across my plate that had a huge cash flow, really big ROI. I'm talking 20+%. And again, my mentors at that time, they all talked about it. And they shied away from owning just the home on somebody else's rented land. Because as you know, in Florida, we have a lot of hurricanes.
Sure. Yeah.
So if the hurricane blows it away, then all you have is a liability to pay lot rent. At least you have a piece of dirt underneath it. Okay. If you own the home and the land together.
Got it. So has that been the primary focus for you and your wife over the last 6-7 years? Just focus 100% on mobile homes?
Yep. So we already owned a few single family site built, concrete block, beautiful homes, some of them nicer than we live in. And we've actually sold all of those. We sold the last one about a month and a half ago.
No, congratulations.
We are primarily mobile homes with the land for rental purposes.
Okay. Got it. Dude, I'm thinking here, and I don't know anybody on social media or of all the relationships I have with real estate investors and wholesalers, not just here in South Florida, but that I've connected with across the country. I'm having a hard time thinking of anybody outside of you and your wife that specialize in mobile homes. And I think that speaks to your point. That's a huge opportunity, dude. So how big or small is the community of people that really focus on mobile homes?
It's a little bit larger than a lot of people think, but I think the people that buy mobile homes and rent them out are just quiet. I mean, I know a lot of people in my area, but they're very quiet. They're old school. And it's worked out well. I mean, I go to RIA meetings and people look at me a little weird. And I said, that's true. They're all terrible. Just bring me all your leads. Bring me all your leads.
There you go.
I joke around about it. That's how we've gotten a lot of leads. People look down upon them because we have such an ego society that people want to take a picture in something, really nice and flashy and put it on social media. Well, I like the picture of my bank account way better than a social media picture of a $3 million house or a Ferrari.
Right. That's what it's all about at the end of the day, is the cash flow, right? So, yeah, and I think you're right, man. I think there's a certain stigma that maybe mobile homes and mobile home parks, for that matter, kind of carry. Maybe people think it's kind of lower end, or it's whatever people put, whatever labels people put on it. At the end of the day, it's obviously there's an opportunity there. And so, talk a little bit about, you said the cash flow is what initially drove you guys to mobile home parks. How does the cash flow differ from, let's just say, a single family rental? And I realize that's a very general question, and the answer is it depends. But just generally speaking, is the cash flow comparable to that which you would see in a single family, $200 to $400, $200 to $500 a month kind of thing? Or what are you experiencing in your business?
So the mobile homes that we focus on are older ones, 1960s and 70s. We do have some 80s and 90s. So older you go, you do get better cash flow because there's a higher risk there. I'll give you my big example is from 2 years ago, 2019. We did a 1031 exchange. We sold a $200,000 house that we were netting $384 a month after all of our expenses.
Uh-huh.
And we exchanged into 7 mobile homes with the land. And we still kept a tiny bit of that money to go spend it, because life is about more than just real estate.
That's right.
And we raised our cash flow about 850% to about $3,300 a month.
Wow.
So that's the big example that I give people, that it's cash flow and it's affordable housing, but we know there's affordable housing kind of problem in our country right now.
Yeah.
But we have stuff that rents at $700, which honestly is below market, and we have stuff around $1,300. And I know there's mobile homes out there that will rent much higher than that.
Yeah. And what do you, on average, and obviously it depends on the market, right? But like, just kind of give me a ballpark of what's the purchase price, or what does the acquisitions process look like, and what you guys are paying for these mobile homes when you're buying? Because you said you focus on the mobile home and the dirt. Mm-hmm. So what does lot and mobile home typically go for?
We bought one a little bit earlier this year for $50,000 from a wholesaler. And it's funny because he actually marketed it pretty bad. And I think it's because he doesn't know mobile homes that well. So his marketing was a mistake. But anyways, we bought it for $50,000. Between closing costs and a few repairs that we had to put in it, we had $8,000 in it. So we're all in at $58,000. And we moved someone in at $1,275 a month. It's a double lot. We can't do anything with the second lot because of the way the home is placed.
Okay.
But we have 2 lots. So if something happened in the future, we have that extra capability.
Wow, that's incredible. So you're all in for under 60 and it rents for $1,275. That, my friends, is a pretty strong ROI, especially when you're talking about rental real estate. That's pretty incredible, man. What about the turnover with these mobile homes? Do you experience a lot of tenant turnover?
This is a very common question. And I believe, so one of my mentors, Lonnie, he always says, when you buy your real estate, you buy your tenant. We do not buy homes in very low-end, unsafe neighborhoods. One of my rules is if I don't feel comfortable sending my wife there alone at night, I don't buy it.
Got it.
So because of that, I'm not saying we have, A-class neighborhoods. I would say we're probably C+. I'm not really good at the whole rating scale, but it's probably somewhere around there. It's areas that a blue-collar worker wants to live, not has to live. So we don't have much turnover. We definitely have a little bit, but we buy houses and we have a hard process to get through. When I say house, I do mean mobile homes.
Yeah.
People want to live there and stay there forever.
Yeah. Interesting. So we're just kind of starting to scratch the surface, and there's only so deep we can obviously go on a podcast episode. But for people listening in or maybe watching this, that their ears are already starting to perk up, maybe their left eyebrows popping up, and you've kind of piqued their interest about mobile homes. Where do they even begin? Like, how do they start to either curate a list of mobile homes? Like, do they start with the park and then drill down from there? Or like, what's the process like to begin to identify, which mobile homes they need to target, which areas, and talk a little bit about the marketing process so we can, because I want to leave people with some, for those that are interested in mobile homes, I'd really like to leave them with some actionable steps some value that they can take from this podcast and just kind of deploy to start generating mobile home leads?
It's really pretty simple. It's not that different than your normal site-built home. You replace the word house with mobile home. Mm-hmm. Everything you would do to look for a motivated seller for a site-built home, you would do the same thing. We've done bandit signs. We've looked on the MLS. We've bought from realtors. We've done mailers. We've done all of the same things. We just replaced the word.
Yeah.
But our biggest leads, I alluded to earlier, are other investors, because they don't understand them. They don't want them. And I love going to RIA meetings and networking anyway. So it's fun to me. And I just tell everyone, I mean, that's why I wear this shirt that you already brought up. I wear it everywhere. I want everyone to know what we do. So if there's someone I can help out and we can profit from it as a benefit, that's what we do.
Got it. So the marketing is no different than, marketing to single families. You're doing direct mail. You're doing, you may or may not be doing cold calling, text message marketing, but it sounds like your biggest lead source is coming from other wholesalers.
Yep. And also realtors as well, because think about it, a realtor does the same amount of paperwork if they're selling a $50,000 home or a $200,000 home.
Okay.
So they probably want to do the $200,000 home. And a lot of realtors still want to help out potential clients. So they've sent them over to us. You always try to keep them in the deal because, people make money, they come back to you. So referrals and lead source has been our best lead source.
Okay. How, as far as referrals are concerned, or bird dogs, or people bringing you deals, how are you incentivizing them to think of you first when they see mobile homes or when they come across opportunities?
I always tell people I'm going to keep them in the deal, and they ask, well, how much do you pay? I'll pay anything. The seller's the one really paying it, as we know, because it just has to work in my numbers. I don't care what you make. The one I mentioned earlier for $50,000, he made $10,000 on it.
Yeah.
Numbers worked for me. I was happy. He was happy. I don't try to beat people up too much because, again, if you're making money as a wholesaler, I might become your primary person and you come to me first.
Yeah. Adrian, that's such a good point. I'm glad you brought that up. I see too many real estate investors out there offering $500 referral fees, $1,000 referral fees, and you hit the nail on the head. Pay whatever it takes, provided that the numbers make sense for you, provided that you're making your margin. The seller, obviously, you're able to structure a scenario that makes sense for the seller and you're solving a problem for them. Pay what you need to pay, but you want people to think of you first. So I think it's a big mistake when people plaster on their marketing $500 referral fees. I mean, it's just so old school. It's when I came into this business in 2005, that's what people put on business cards, like that. That's how old school I'm talking, business cards, right? Like $500 referral fees. And that's just, for the most part, I found it just doesn't work. But you tell people that they have the ability to make 5-10 grand. All of a sudden they get a lot more interested. And you become more important on their priority list, right? So, like you said, brother, pay what it takes, provided that the deal makes sense. I want to take a step back and kind of zoom out, so to speak, on something I touched on right when we kicked off the show. You and I were talking offline how sometimes people get confused, or there's a misconception about what it is that you do and the opportunity that lies with mobile homes. And let's start to elaborate a little bit about that. And let's just have a conversation about the asset class itself and just the misconceptions that people have.
Okay, so there's mobile home parks, which is, I think, the first thing people think of. And that's when you own the whole thing. You either own a flat apartment complex or you own a big parking lot. That's not what we do. Another way to invest in them is you buy just the home within that mobile home park, and you pay lot rent every single month. So you own just the home. We don't do that. We've done a few of those, and those are fantastic ROI, smaller numbers, great way to grow. But what we do is we buy the home and the land together. A lot of people don't think of this for some reason. I don't really know why, but it's a real estate transaction. You're still closing it with a title company, or it depends on your state attorney. So it's a real estate transaction, and they're not all age restricted. That's another big myth. People think that all mobile homes are in age restricted communities. Not true. Are there a lot? Yes, especially here in Florida.
Got it.
But there's plenty of them that are on a normal community, a rural area, maybe an acre and a half. We love those. And they are treated just like a house.
Yeah. Yeah. No different. So people don't have to overcomplicate this. You brought up two things that, I was going to ask you this question a little bit later on, but you talk about age restriction. You talk about, acreage plus, and you really like those. Obviously you don't like age restriction. Can you kind of share specifically what's the criteria that you and your wife look for? What are some of the boxes that you want to have checked to identify, hey, that's kind of a sweet spot for us?
We've created an avatar for our ideal tenant now, which is one way we keep our turnover really low. And that is the blue collar handyman, handy woman. So we look for a property that they are going to like. So if it has maybe a shed on the back, we love that. It has the extra lot that I mentioned. We love that because they can pull their utility trailer onto it. So we look for things that they like. So then we're getting the right tenant. But we really don't. Besides that, we don't care about the size of the land. We just want the land with it.
Okay.
We don't care about the age of the home. And I mentioned earlier, we've done a lot of 1960s and 70s. Well, the 1960s and 70s, there's no option for financing by banks. And people get confused, frustrated right then, and then they're out. So owner financing can benefit the owner as well and us, and private money, and obviously cash.
Got it.
But people can't get over that hurdle to make that switch. And that's another reason the older ones have become our niche. We like the newer ones because they're a safer home, just like anyone likes a newer site-built home. And it just has to be repairable, which is almost all of them. People think that you can't repair an older mobile home. As long as it hasn't been the roof leaking for a long, long time, and there's mold everywhere, you can rebuild any of them.
Got it. So my focus is on self-storage facilities. And one of the things that I look for in self-storage facilities, obviously the location, is we're looking for secondary and tertiary markets, right? The chances of me, taking down a large self-storage facility in the heart of Miami is probably not that great. Why? Because a lot of the REITs operate in the larger cities. So we're looking at, markets where population is 10 to 50,000, 10 to 60,000, that kind of thing. Juxtapose that to mobile homes. Is it the opposite? Are you looking to be in the heart of the city? Are you looking to be in the suburbs? Like, from a location standpoint, where is it that you're trying to source these properties?
I will buy any of them as long as the numbers work. But similar to you, the numbers do not work as well when you're in the middle of a town city. Yeah. But most of ours are in the rural areas, the county, not the city limits, down a dirt road. I'm not scared of it being down a dirt road. You just have to pressure wash it to find out what color it is. And I prefer acreage, but it's not a must.
Yeah.
It goes back to, where does my ideal tenant want to live? And they also don't want to live in a neighborhood. It doesn't mean it won't work. I mean, I have a friend in Pinellas County, that's one of the most dense counties in Florida. And he found a mobile home. He was asking me some questions on it. I'm like, I would buy that in a heartbeat if it was around me. The numbers worked. It was still a good location. It was a good home. They can work at anywhere if you find them. Got
it. We've kind of talked about some of the reasons you do like mobile homes, right? Cash flow being one of the biggest ones. You have not as much competition, obviously, as you do with single families. It's people, I think, tend to, what I'm gathering from you, Adrian, is that people tend to complicate it when all you're doing is swapping out the word single family for mobile homes, and it's basically the same thing. What are maybe some of the challenges or some of the pitfalls, if any, that exist with mobile homes that maybe that you don't find with single family, traditional single family homes? Are there any?
Yeah, of course there are. There's the financing that I mentioned.
Right, that's one.
Once you get over the mental hurdle, at least that's what I had to do, of private money, there becomes a lot of private money, especially with success sharing it. And another one is mobile home owners don't seem to update their homes as often as site-built home. So we've bought homes with the shag carpet still in them, with a carpet rake and all, with yellow countertops.
Pink tiles in the bathrooms?
Yeah, they just don't update as much. When you get to the older ones, there's a lot of particle board floors.
Yeah.
And we still own a bunch with that. And we know what happens when that gets wet. You fall through it right away.
Mm-hmm.
So there's also title work is usually screwed up.
How so?
You know? A lot of mobile home owners don't go to a title company for some reason. I just sell it to you, and we go to Staples and buy a quick claim deed and sign it over. And I use Staples as an example because I have purchased homes before and found the packet up from Staples inside the home.
Oh,
and
that's
it took
hysterical.
8 months to close that property because the title work was so screwed up.
Yeah, the sophistication, is it just because of the sophistication of these mobile home owners is just, the lack of sophistication, I guess, when it comes to that stuff?
I think so. And I think a lot of them can get a little intimidated by, 18-page contract and all these terms that they just don't understand.
Yeah.
And a lot of mobile home owners bought from someone on owner financing. It could be the homeowner or an investor. So they didn't go through a title company doing that because they wanted to save some money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I've just seen the title work screwed up a lot, but that's what we do as investors. We go and help and solve a problem.
That's right. That's right. Wow. Very cool, man. Anything else that you would say, hey, outside of the financing, outside of, title sometimes being screwed up, anything else that you would say, hey, this is a nuance that you kind of have to look after or just kind of watch out for?
I see a lot of people when they first start within the mobile home space, they over rehab, and you got to be careful with that. I do know someone that he goes in and puts granite through everything. He does everything to the top. He has a crew employed by him. He has very, very, very low costs compared to most people. But I think that's the biggest mistake. Don't over rehab. Our motto is we make these safe and livable, but maybe not pretty, meaning we never paint the walls. But we're also looking to attract a handyman or handy woman that wants to paint the walls.
Yeah.
So don't over blow up your budget because it's very easy to do that in mobile homes.
Got it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And man, as we start to kind of wind down here, like I said, we're just beginning to scratch the surface, guys. So I want to encourage you, if you want to connect with Adrian and just find out more about mobile homes, you want to network, to start building a relationship, adriansmude.com, SMUDE, adriansmude.com. Definitely connect with him. Really good guy. We travel in some of the same circles. And yeah, he had reached out to me and I wanted to have him on the show because, again, I've heard great things about Adrian, and we have never specifically covered content on just mobile homes. I feel like it's, while you say, Adrian, and you would know better than I would, while it's probably a bigger community than what I might think, man, I just don't hear. I feel like I'm pretty well connected in the space, and I just don't know too many people that's their primary focus, and that screams opportunity to me because I don't know how many mobile homes are out there, but I know there's a lot. And so that's an opportunity. One of the things I want to do, I want to take a quick break to recognize our sponsor. One of the things I want to do when we come back from the break is I want to hear about your best deal. And then I'm going to follow that up. So I want you to think about this a bit. I want you to talk about your worst deal, because one of the things that we want to do on the show here is not just highlight the wins, but we all take L's. We all get kicked in the mouth sometimes, and it's about getting back up. And so I want you to share the learning lesson. So with that being said, let's just take a quick break for our sponsor. My friend, if you're struggling finding, vetting, training, and managing virtual team members for your real estate business, I have the solution for you. Call Magicians is the premier virtual assistant company in the real estate industry. And basically what they'll do is allow you to focus on closing more deals and doing the things you love while they handle the work for you. Head over to callmagicians.com and see if you're a good fit to work together. And make sure you use the promo code FLIPEMPIRE for a 20% discount off your startup fee. And by the way, the owner's a friend of mine and shares tons of value, gives a lot of useful tips on episode 540. So check it out at flipempire.com/540. Awesome. We're back with Adrian, and I'm excited, dude. I'm curious to hear, when it comes to mobile homes, what is your best deal? And then I'm probably going to have some questions for you, but then I want you to follow it up with what is your worst deal? And most importantly, what was the lesson or lessons learned from that worst deal?
My best/favorite deal is one that my father-in-law actually brought to me. So he was walking in a neighborhood of $300,000, $400,000 houses, not where you would think you would get a mobile home lead. He stopped at a for sale by owner. Anyways, he's chatting him up. And the guy's like, yeah, my mom owns 2 properties. They've been vacant for years. He finally got me to go there because I didn't want to go there because I thought that was a bad area. It was, long story short, it was a quiet, good street within the red on the crime map. And we started working with the seller. It took 8 months to close it. We had to get signatures from London, from notary over there, because they thought they did the probate and they really didn't. It was a mess of title work. But when we were talking to her, we realized she didn't sell it because if she collected money, she would lose her financial benefits for the retirement community she lived in.
Wow.
So we couldn't give her any money. Now she had, like I said, 2 properties. One of them I didn't want as a site-built home. It looked like a ton of work, and it was over my rehab knowledge level. So I was wholesaling that one. That cleared up all of the title work, some of the money from that. It also gave her some extra money, but again, I just said we couldn't give her money or she was going to lose it. So that money came to me, which went to a second mortgage on the property. So the property I'm buying from her has a first mortgage to her, and I started out at 0%, and her son, which was negotiating at the time, he said, no, I would need to get at least what the Wall Street Journal says the going rates of 3.5% are. So I said, that'll work. You know, I'm excited inside because 3.5% is great. And then the second mortgage went on top of that, same rate. We did have her contact her accounting or whoever it was to make sure that the payment also kept her within her financial assistance. So she started getting $293 a month from me and lost $11 of financial aid. I walked away with a check at closing that covered all my rehab, and I started renting it out.
Pretty solid.
One of my favorite deals. Part of it was just the length of time. And I mean, I was calling, like I said, over in London. I found out that in London, a notary actually gives legal advice. So that's one reason it took so long, because they wouldn't give advice on American documents.
Wow,
so the sister had to drive to the embassy hours away.
That is really interesting. And when did that deal happen?
Oh, that was probably 4 years ago.
4 years ago? Yeah. Wow, very, very cool. And obviously, one of the best parts I think of this business is the ability, particularly when we're dealing with homeowners, is just don't ever forget, guys, that as real estate investors, we're here to solve problems, and we get paid in direct proportion to the problems that we solve. Too many times, people are just thinking about the money in this business, and understand that you're dealing with people on the other end of that transaction. And so, don't look at it as a transaction. Look at it as, how do I make this person's life easier? How, you're placed in their life to solve a problem or to fill a need or to, cover a void that they have. So how can you kind of be like their mobile home doctor, right? Or their house doctor, essentially, is the way I kind of look at it. So, dude, that's awesome, man. I appreciate you sharing. So, all right, man, I want to hear when you got kicked in the teeth, dude. I want to hear the blood. We've all had it. We all got the battle scars. So when it comes to mobile homes, what's your worst deal? And then what'd you learn from it?
So it starts out in the negotiating phase. It was a probate. The brother had reached out to me. He was the one taking care of the probate. And we were negotiating mainly through text and email because he just never wanted to answer the phone. And I honestly never met him. He was out of town and he wouldn't even meet me when he came in. But because I was negotiating through so many different areas, at one point I went to negotiate just a tiny bit less. He said, okay. I went back and looked, and I actually gave a higher price than he was already agreed to.
No, you're kidding me, dude. Hold on. Give me specific numbers. So what was he?
It was about $1,500 difference. It was something around 23,000, and I don't remember the exact number, but it was about $1,500 that I poorly negotiated. So one of the learning lessons here is I always read everything, and I try to keep it all within one platform, either email or text, so I can go back. And at that time we weren't organized. We didn't have a CRM or anything to put notes in. I was just all over the place.
Yeah. Well, man,
then,
look. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, that was also a property I joked around. It just kept on giving. I thought I had my rehab estimates, and then I realized I needed to replace all of the subfloor. We were almost done with it, and then the septic went out. And then I was just thing after thing like that I just kept joking. I'm like, this is a property that just keeps on giving.
Wow.
And I had to keep writing checks. Luckily, the numbers worked, so I went from a great deal to a good deal. So I didn't go into a negative or anything, but yeah.
So couple things, and I want to start with the second takeaway that I gathered from what you just shared in that deal is, don't get into skinny deals. Don't buy deals where the margins are tight and the stars have to align, the unicorns have to appear, the rainbow has to be out, right, for like the deal to make sense, because Murphy's Law is going to strike at the most inconvenient times. And if you get into the habit of, buying skinny deals, it's just a matter of time you will get burned. So buy fat, juicy deals with margin because we can be in a very forgiving business. And I think people forget that. Sometimes people look like geniuses because the market has been carrying them, and you can actually get paid to make mistakes, right? You can go significantly over budget on a rehab and still come out with a fat profit. But when you don't have your finger on the pulse of the market or you're buying skinny deals, the margin for error, no pun intended, is just not there for you. So that's the first takeaway. And the second one I got from what you shared, Adrian, is, I think of Warren Buffett. What are the rules of investing? Rule 1 is don't lose money. Rule 2 is see rule 1. The good news for you, dude, is that it was only $1,500. And nobody wants to lose money, but it could have been a lot worse, right? And if I told you that, hey, you had to learn this valuable lesson to read everything for $1,500, you'd probably sign up for that, right?
Oh, yeah.
$1,500 is a relatively small price to pay, considering how it could have been 15 grand, right? Or worse. So very cool, man. Well, hey, brother, I wanna get you out of here on this. What is your favorite book, and what's the impact it's had on you?
Ooh, that is a tough question. If you were gonna say within the mobile home space, I'm going to say Deals on Wheels by Lonnie Scruggs.
Okay. Deals on Wheels.
Put that into Google. You'll probably find the PDF for free. Lonnie did pass away a few years ago. Now, he is talking about particularly in parks, but you can use the same concepts, the same ideas, but with land. So He's one of my favorite. Besides that, I don't know. I do a lot of mindset reading these days. I go to a lot of education for real estate, but most of my reading, probably my most recent favorite book is The Untethered Soul.
Yeah.
There's a lot of mindset in that one.
Robert Singer?
Yep. Yeah, Michael Singer, actually. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Michael Singer. Michael Singer, yeah. I just, a couple of months ago, I read The Surrender Experiment, which is, I think, the second one. And that was my first exposure to Michael Singer. Yeah, really just great book. I haven't read Untethered Soul, but I did read his second one, which is pretty awesome. Very cool, man. Adrian, so why don't you tell people where they can connect with you if you guys have, if you come across any mobile home opportunities, or maybe there's an opportunity to joint venture with Adrian, find out what he's got going on. What's the best place that they can reach you?
You can go to adriansmude.com, and that's going to give you my social media links, but I'm more on Facebook than Instagram.
Okay.
Shoot me a message. I'll be happy to help you if I can with my knowledge. If I can, like you said, maybe partner on something, I'm open to that. And I'm here to help. Social media, Facebook, Instagram. I am on the others, but I'm honestly not that active. They're just there because I need to have all of them.
Yeah, man. Well, hey, dude, I appreciate you kind of opening up again. This is the tip of the iceberg when it comes to mobile homes. So if you guys have any interest in diving deeper into that particular asset class, it's intriguing, especially from the perspective that I don't know so many people in it. And, when you're all into some properties at 58 grand and, you're renting them for $1,200-$1,300, I mean, those are pretty healthy returns. So I encourage you guys to reach out to Adrian. Again, we recently connected through a coach of ours. and just a quality dude. And we travel in similar circles. So he and his wife are doing some really cool things. So my friends, I really appreciate, as always, you guys taking the time to hop on the show here. Thank you for supporting it. Thank you for those who have subscribed and have left a review in Apple Podcasts. It really helps. And if you have a quick minute and you're getting value out of this, go to flipempire.com/podcast, and you can go ahead and leave an honest review. So with that said, look forward to connecting with you on the next masterclass. And Adrian, my man, keep doing your thing. And I appreciate you just opening up and sharing.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Take care. One last thing before you go, if you have been listening to the show for a while and or you have been getting value from the show, I would be 100% honored if you would share this show with a friend, or maybe share it with somebody that you think could benefit from this. It's my mission, it's my cause, it's my purpose through Flip Empire to impact and touch people's lives, to help people and in their businesses. So it would be an honor if you would be willing to share this episode. And one last thing, make sure that you're subscribed so that you get notified every Monday and Thursday when shows get released. I look forward to connecting with you on the next one. Until then, have a great day.